Welcome to the 2021 EMAR Super Meeting Virtual Edition. I'm Joel Bramwell, your current EMAR president.
And I'm Lisa Bettendorf, EMAR president-elect. When Joel told me how much funds he's expecting today, I wanted to join in.
Absolutely, Lisa. We have plenty of great stuff on hand, and with you here, the excitement will be exponentially increased.
Thanks, Joel. What are some of the charming events that you have planned this St. Patrick's Day?
Oh, I see what you're doing there. Lucky Charms, it's going to be magically delicious. We will have a raffle that is bigger than ever before for RPAC.
Yeah, I'm excited personally about the raffle. There's tons of great prizes, and all real estate brokers are really competitive and want to win. So I'm super excited. We also have two great speakers today.
Excellent. And the first one will be Mark Zawistoski with Zonda. He'll talk about mapping out new home activity and land pipelines throughout Metro Portland.
And I'm particularly excited to have Jeff Wiren speak today. He's the president of Premier Property Group. He's the president-elect of OR, and he's a personal friend of mine. He's going to talk about how to survive in a low inventory market.
I told you we would have some great stuff in store for everyone today. We also want to encourage everyone to support RPAC. So come along with us. They've got our backs in Salem and in DC, and we need to be sure to have their backs with support and donations.
And it's now time for our first trivia question. It's multiple choice, and all you have to do is text your name and your answer to 765-688-0363. Again, that's 765-688-0363. Joel, what's our first question?
Well, Lisa, thank you. This is the Who Wants to Be a Realtor Special Edition, sponsored by RMLS, and we want to thank them for their generous contribution to make this possible. So here we go. When is it okay to go into a vacant listing? A, when given permission by the listing agent. B, when you're driving by with a buyer and they want to pop in and take a quick peek. C, prior to closing without permission, just to take a quick measurement for your buyer. Or D, when you are caught in traffic and you tell another agent in the office to run by for a quick fridge measurement. Remember to text your answer to 765-688-0363. Your name and the letter corresponding to your answer.
And we'll be back shortly to announce the winner and the prize. We're going to move on, and I want to talk a few minutes about this gentleman. When I think of him, I think of three things. I think of EMAR. He's done so much for EMAR over the last couple decades. I also think of great leadership skills. He's definitely a leader in the industry. And third, great hair. Joel, do you know who I'm talking about?
Is it me? Oh, my twin, Greg Whistler.
It is Greg Whistler.
Excellent.
Take it away, Greg.
So one of the reasons that I'm a big advocate for RPAC is just all of the ways that it benefits our clients and our industry as realtors. The advocacy we have at the state legislature and at the national legislature is huge, and it's saving us money in our industry and saving our clients money as they are buying and selling real estate. When COVID came and everything got shut down, our lobbyists were able to communicate with the state legislature and the governor and communicate why real estate was an essential service. And so that created a lot of benefit for our customers as they were able to buy or sell real estate, maybe refinance a home to get out some money to help them pay some bills when they maybe had less money coming in from their job. It was a huge blessing to us, and I'm sure if you were like me, it probably kept you a little extra busy during the 2020 real estate season.
Hey, thanks, Greg. I'm inspired to give to RPAC today, and I think we all should go deep. How about you, Lisa?
I agree. I'm definitely inspired. You know, I'm also super excited about our CE classes. We have 3 great opportunities in the next 3 days. Stay tuned for details.
And folks, this raffle is huge this year and will help provide more donations to RPAC, so stay tuned for all the details.
And now it's time to answer the question and reveal the winner to our first question. Just to help you remember, our first question is, when is it okay to enter a vacant listing? And surprise, the answer is A, when given permission by the listing agent. Joel, did you get that one right?
I'm glad I got that one right. Yeah, otherwise I'd have to turn in my license.
For sure.
All right, so Lisa, who is our first winner? Hey, congratulations.
Our first winner is the winner of some Skull Candy wireless earbuds, and they're courtesy of 2020. And that question was sponsored by RMLS.
Perfect. And Lisa, would you take the honors to read the second question for us?
Yeah, I would love to. It is a tongue twister, so bear with me. What is EMAR's tagline? The F, building community, connecting realtors. G, building, connecting community. H, connecting realtors, building community. Or I, building realtors, connecting community. Oh, say that one 4 times.
There's a whole lot of building and community going on there, but that's what we stand for. Remember to text the letter you believe is corresponding to the correct answer to 765-688-0363. And the question is, what is EMAR's tagline?
Joel, the sponsor for that one is All Things Real Estate. And if you haven't been down to their store, it's pretty awesome. And in today's virtual world, they have a great website too.
Perfect. And let's don't forget, we do have some other things in our EMAR store at the EMAR office. And now a word from our next sponsor, Kim Dodge, NextView Reverse Mortgage.
Hi, I'm Kim Dodge, NextView Reverse Mortgage. And by now, I know you know that a homeowner age 62 plus can purchase a home with a reverse mortgage purchase loan. But choose your loan officer wisely and work with a dedicated reverse team. Make sure that you're not sent off to a processing group. Work with the loan officer who's been in this business for a while. I can simultaneously pre-approve your borrower for the reverse purchase loan as well as a conventional loan. When you find them that perfect home, we choose the loan that works best for them and they are ready to buy. It's not just about a loan, it's about their retirement. Kim Dodge, NextView Reverse Mortgage.
Hi, everybody. I want to remind you that we have some great CEs coming up. Today at 1 o'clock, Lawyers Title is sponsoring a CE called Win More Listings with Paragon, CRS, and HomeBot. We also have our Carol's Challenge for EMAR. If you want to contribute to RPAC, whoever is the highest contributor by Friday is going to win a spa day basket.
So cool. I could use that. Can you?
Definitely.
Awesome, awesome. Well, next we have one of your association members, Jameson Irwin, going to share what EMAR means to him. We appreciate Jameson and his contribution, so sit back and take a listen.
Networking is a big part of my business as a real estate agent, and with EMAR, we all are independent agents with different offices. There's thousands of agents with hundreds of offices around the Portland metro area, but one thing we all have in common is EMAR here. And what they offer us is training, schooling, education, and ways to connect with other agents regardless of what office you're in. But what's next for me is really taking advantage of those opportunities. I'm really excited. I've been working with Joel a lot here recently and talking with him of ways I can get involved in the future. Being a young agent, I'm 24 years old. I'm really excited to connect with more of you going forward and seeing where that takes me in my business, as well as how I can help other people in theirs as well. And so I'd really like to get more involved on committees, expanding my network, get involved in the investment side of real estate, and just meeting people who have already done what I'm looking to do in the future.
Hello EMAR, my name is Mike Reed with First American Home Warranty, and it's a pleasure to participate in your event today. I'm actually in my garage right now, and I've got my furnace original to the house and my water heater. Actually had my water heater replaced about 6 months ago and saved about $1,500. Started leaking from the bottom, and you can actually see the rust stains right here on my floor. With First American Home Warranty, we can protect sellers during the listing process and help reduce expense should a major system or appliance fail, and the same for buyers when they move in for 1 year, giving them peace of mind. So keep us in mind for all of your sellers and buyers' needs. Again, my name is Mike Reed with First American Home Warranty. My number is 503-858-7593. And thanks again to EMAR for everything they do. Have a great event.
Thank you, Mike Reed with First American Home Warranty.
And now, everyone, the answer to trivia question number 2. Are you ready? Thank you to All Things Real Estate for sponsoring this question. Answer number 2 was, what is EMAR's tagline? The correct answer is H, connecting realtors, building community. That's what we do. Who is the winner?
The winner is Congratulations.
Congratulations. You just won a wonderful All Things Real Estate gift basket.
I'm a little jealous. I wanted the gift basket.
Hey, Lisa, how about question number 3?
So, for question number 3, what is Zocam? J, a virtual home tour platform. K, a high-tech camera for professional Zoom meetings. L, a trending Netflix science fiction show. Or M, an app that safely deposits earnest money electronically.
And Lisa, let's don't forget that our sponsor for this question is Northwest Reverse Mortgage, your guide to a more secure future.
We'll be back for the answer to this question and the winner and prize.
Can't wait. All right, now we have a special presentation from our friend and colleague Sue O'Halloran regarding RPAC. Sue has been representing us in governance. Can you help me with that? What's the word?
You got this.
I sound like a politician all of a sudden. I can't even speak. Thank you, Sue, for representing us on the Government Affairs Committee all these years, and we're excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, we all love Sue.
Hi there, Sue O'Halloran. I'm a proud RPAC member, and I have my pin on today, signify I did contribute this year, 2021. I just wanted to talk briefly. You know how important those RPAC dollars are in protecting our industry. One of the most important things that we do is protect that mortgage interest tax exemption. It's critical for housing affordability. It's critical for our second home industry. We need your help. Your $50 annually is not enough to get the job done.
Kim Dodge, Next View Reverse Mortgage here, and I am very excited to introduce our very first keynote speaker, Mark Zawistoski from Zonda. And mapping out new home activity and land pipeline for PDX Metro is his topic. Mark, take it away.
Good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day. My name is Mark Zawistoski, and I'm the Pacific Northwest Regional Director for Zonda. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into new home construction activity for the Portland metro area. For those of you who are not familiar with Zonda, we are a real estate market analytics firm that tracks 20,000 active and upcoming projects across the nation. We apply 275 housing metrics to all new home communities across the country. We do deep dives into monitoring construction progress, from pouring the foundation to finished vacant to closings. And we also have an iPad app at Zonda that tracks all the latest real-time minute information for all the communities, including Portland, Oregon, such as sales rate, listing price, days on the market, and absorption rates. For those of you who are interested in exploring more opportunities with our products, you can contact your Director of Business Development, Ryan Prazen, and his email is listed at the left-hand corner of this slide. There's also a COVID-19 Housing Outlook webinar that started way back when the pandemic hit in March of 2020. And it's led by the dynamic duo of Ellie Wolf, our chief economist at Zonda, and Tim Sullivan, our senior managing principal. The focus is predominantly on new home construction, but Ellie definitely has a lot of ground to cover as far as the national economy, even how it impacts and ripples down to the local economies, the job market. There's a lot of good information in here, even if you're not interested in new home builder issues or the market. There's still a lot that pertains to the resale and existing side of things. You can email marketing@builderonline.com for more information or visit Zonda to register. The next webinar will be 1 week from today on March 24th. So today's agenda, we're gonna look back at 2020 and see how the Portland new home construction market performed. Today's market, that's gonna be more of a deep dive into pricing analytics, the outlook for this year in 2021, and then beyond 2021, what can we expect for new home product offerings? We'll wrap it up with challenges and the outlook. 2020 in review, of course, crazy year. Let's start with the annual starts and closings. Here at Zonda, we qualify a start as a home that had its foundation started, the concrete's poured, and that gets in the box of starts, and then we monitor if it's under construction and what phase it is, all the way to completion and handing over the keys to the home buyer. So we can see in this graph that closings and starts in Portland Metro have been pretty tight for the last 10 years. It's a little bit unusual compared to other metros nationwide. You'll see a lot of dips, fits, and starts between starts peaking and closings. But so for the most part, it's been pretty much on target of what the market will bear. The closings for 2020, this chart shows single family detached, and just a quick aside, the darker and larger the circle, the more closings that the particular community, which is labeled here, had for the year of 2020. No surprise, Clark County over the river and Washington County were far and away the leaders of housing activity, but there's been a lot of ramp up and acceleration in home sales in Clackamas. For townhome new communities, the top closings in 2020, again, it's kind of the same story, but we see a lot more in Multnomah, the Portland area, less so and down south. No surprise there. But there are a couple communities near Happy Valley in Clackamas County. But Four Seasons, DR Horton in Vancouver leads the charge there. New home market share, what we're looking at here are the total sales for resale and new, and then the percentage of how many of the closings were new homes. And if we go all the way back to 2010, that was the largest market share for new homes in the last 10 years at 18%. And as we made our way through the 2010s, it decreased, but then the last couple of years, we've seen a slight uptick. So today at 2020, 15% of all homes in Portland Metro were new homes. That number would be higher if there was more inventory, if there's more product offering for the buyer to choose from for new homes. So, the pandemic did a lot of crazy things. This chart highlights when the pandemic struck for the Pacific Northwest, Washington and Oregon, amongst the first states in the country to experience shutdowns. Surprisingly, March, we were still up year over year, even though lockdowns were issued. But we can see the pandemic effects really hammered the numbers for April and May. Quite a big drop year over year. As we move into the summer, the frenzy began. In June, we're almost double the pace of what we sold year over year. For the whole summer, July to September, it was a 37% increase in summer sales. So yeah, it was a flurry of activity, of course. And then moving on into the more traditional slowdown months of September, October, November, December, when we would usually expect sales to kind of throttle up a little bit. That didn't occur this year in 2020. And again, you know, if you looked year over year, comparing the months, we were on a torrid pace. Just taking a sneak peek into 2021, January, February, it's the same. What we're seeing in the data is that it's not slowing down. That's not surprising. The demand is there. And we expect this trend to continue for a few months until some headwinds, like maybe higher mortgage rates occur, or, you know, buyer frustration. Market share of attached product in Portland. This is an interesting chart. On the left is the total tally of sales. And what we're looking at here is just new homes. It's not resale. So every year, the blue is the attached products. The orange is single family detached. I apologize, it's not labeled as such, but that is what this is showing. And the numbers beneath are the actual counts of how many homes were sold. And then the percentage that you see is year-to-year growth for that segment. So I just would like to call your attention all the way to 2019 and 2020, because I thought this was interesting. 2019, it was down 3.2% in attached sales. Single family detached for new homes actually went up almost 10%. But if we looked at 2019 to 2020, attached market share for new homes went up 45%. And single family detached pretty much remarkably remained flat. But I like to call this out because we heard a lot of on the news and the headlines about, you know, folks wanting like big homes, big backyards, open space. But the data shows otherwise, that, you know what, the buyer was willing to snag up townhomes where available. So, you know, it's not just all about really large homes for, you know, that has space for virtual homeschooling and, you know, work from home from work. Attached product still has a big draw. Now, you could argue too, is that there just wasn't enough inventory, and a lot of these buyers in attached product would have gotten a single family detached if they could have found such. Today's market, let's take a closer look at pricing trends. This is the S&P Case-Shiller Index. And for those of you not aware, this is just looking at apples to apples comparison, pretty much of the same house repeated sales throughout time, throughout history. This Case-Shiller isn't the original one that goes all the way back to the 19th century. It's actually an S&P. The only difference really being is the benchmark. So the benchmark here is January 2000. So if we look all the way to the right, Portland was at 265, United States at 234. Around 2016, Portland pulled away with a more pronounced appreciation growth. But the United States, as you see as a whole, is starting to catch up a little bit. But the takeaway here is that it's taken off like a rocket ship, the appreciation over the last few years. However, it's not sustainable. I don't expect this trajectory to continue that as we've seen in the last couple of years. There's got to be some sort of flattening. We're running into some price sensitivity and some softening of buyer demand at those price points. This chart is interesting because it shows new versus existing closing price spread. And so the homes here, this bundles everything together. So it would be a new townhome, a new condo, and a new single family, all bundled up into the new home category, and then same for existing. And what's interesting here is that we can see a pronounced downturn starting in 2016 of the gap between the new home and the existing home price. It's only 13% today, which is quite remarkable. Now, what's really driving that, a couple things. One is new home builders are building more attached product, as we just saw on the last slide. And resale prices are being pulled up due to the limited supply of new home inventory. So that's creating a lot more buyers. A lot more buyers, you know, some of them go out with the intention of getting a new home. They're striking out, they can't find it. So they're forced to enter the ever-growing pool of existing home buyers, further exacerbating the bidding wars and the competition. If we broke it up by county, Clackamas County has actually got the lowest new home versus existing home premium, sitting at 10%. which is quite remarkable. This is just really an effect of, there's a lot of new home going on in Happy Valley, but existing home is rising and closing that gap, as we can see the last couple of years. Washington County, we have the Seasons at Laurel Woods, we have Reed's Crossing, we have a couple big community offerings. So they're holding relatively steady at 26% of a new home premium over existing home. And that's been the case for at least a year and a half or so. And then, yeah, Multnomah, this is different because I hesitate to bring this chart in, but it is our backyard. So I just wanted to include this. But there's not a lot of offerings for single family detached new communities in this county. So take this chart with a grain of salt, but right now it's the new home premium is only at 15%. And then Clark County, this one's interesting too. The gap is closing, as we saw in Clackamas, and a large part of this is driven by the more affordable product that new home builders are offering out in the more far-flung places such as Ridgefield, especially La Center. LGI is turning and burning with that large community in La Center, really targeting the renters, apartment movers to new homes. So their price points are much lower, and that kind of helps explain why that gap is narrowing. We looked at the new home premium. Let's take a look at the new home sales rate. It's 2.4, even though we see a little bit of dip on the graph here going into the new year into 2021. We're still sitting at a healthy 2.4 homes are sold per month per community. That's a good average. In fact, that is 50% above the historic norm of 1.6 homes sold per month per community. So let's dive deeper into the sales rate, and let's look at it by unit size and the price. So the first graph shows the sales by average unit size, and the meat of the market is 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. The orange bars are attached product, the blue are detached. So that is the sweet spot. That is where a large volume of the activities occurring. That's a large volume of where the sales are occurring. If we look at price, again, detaches in blue, attaches in orange. We can see the meat of the market here is 400 to 600,000. And like the previous graph for average unit size, you can see the sales rate is the highest. It's got the fastest clip right in the meat of the market there, save for those few product offerings in the $200,000 to $300,000 range. But as you get larger homes and more expensive homes, unsurprisingly, the rate does take a dip. So what's in store for 2021? Well, let's start to see what's the finished vacant inventory, meaning what are the homes and new home communities that are finished, ready for a quick move in? Well, it's not looking great. It's very, very tight. Like we discussed a little while ago, the inventory is super, super tight. If you're a buyer right now in Portland and you want to find a new home for you and your family to move into, you're kind of out of luck, or you can't be really picky because it's slim offerings for sure. And this is something that a lot of buyers are running into. And if you are, got your heart set on a new home, you're going to have to get on a waiting list. You're going to have to make sure you pounce on new home community grand openings, and then you're going to have to be patient too. That's not to say that there's some out there for sure, but for the most part, to get what you truly want, you're gonna have to wait a while builders address the backlog, the ever-growing backlog, I should say. Vacant developed lots, we're sitting at about 6,240 vacant developed lots. And what this means here, how we defined it, these are lots that are pretty much ready to go. They're imminent for release for construction. The plat that they're in has been approved. There's infrastructure, the roads are paved. Really what you're just waiting for with a vacant developed lot is to start pouring the foundation, and then it becomes a start. So anyhow, this graph shows an ever dwindling supply of vacant developed lots, and builders are burning through their inventory, their backups at a really healthy clip here. So where are these, where are they on the map, right? Let's see where the action's at. And again, surprise, surprise, Washington County and Clark County far and away have the most runway. And again, the darker and larger the circle, the more vacant developed lots that these communities have ready to go. And we would expect in 2021 for the rest of the year to see a bulk of the activity occur at these locations that are highlighted, especially the ones that are larger. You know, Reed's Crossing has 180 vacant developed lots. Seasons at Laurel Woods has 212. You know, Reed's Crossing has thousands of lots, but they're in the future. They're not yet officially permitted and released. They're not vacant developed lots because they're not on the cusp of being released to the market. For townhomes, again, you see Washington and Clark has a lot of it, but there's a little more distribution across the board here. The numbers in parentheses denote the number of vacant developed lots. And of course, townhomes don't necessarily always have like lots, say, or you can interchange that with units, but this is pretty much what the runway is for townhomes. This graph shows a lot of the communities that were active, that were doing some closings in 2020, and what's their future in 2021. So the green circles, again, the larger, the more inventory they had, the more vacant developed lots. The green ones are going to keep trucking along in 2021 and probably they will carry over into 2022. The red ones, for the most part, now there could be some exceptions, you know, builders could throttle sales or they can have disruptions in construction. But if they were to match the same sales pace as they did in 2020, the red highlighted communities, they are going to be gone by the end of 2021. So they're at the end of their offering. Looking at attached products, there's a lot less activity, but like, again, DR Horton's Four Seasons are wrapping up if they match the same sales rate. Holt having great success at the towns at Crossroads, and then the ones that are going to be around, of course, the Seasons at Laurel Woods, Reed's Crossing. So those are the projects that we expect to continue to see into 2022. So let's keep with that thread and look beyond 2021. And what we see here are proposed plats for single family. Here at Zonda, we do track the whole development life cycle. So we're not just tracking the sales rate, the product offering, the absorption, but we're also tracking before the beginning initial stages of development when builders and developers are submitting applications for plat approval. And this gives you an idea of the futures, let's say. These are not vacant developed lots. These are, in many cases, maybe the streets aren't even in yet. They're still excavating. There'll be different stages for each of these, but you can see, as I called out, Reed's Crossing has 2,800 lots in the pipeline for preliminary approval. And as you look elsewhere in the map, you can see that, Clark and Washington is going to continue with the same theme leading the pack. And if we looked at attached projects, the one that immediately strikes, stands out in this map is the Vancouver waterfront, the Kirkland condos, the mixed use. I believe there's gonna be rentals, apartments, and I think an active adult senior living offering there. But they're far and away like the big excitement. It's exciting to see the Vancouver waterfront get developed. That will be exciting to watch in the future. So what are the challenges and outlook for new home construction market? Well, here's an excerpt from a survey that we do on a monthly basis to presidents across the nation. And we do this, we did this, this is February. So you just saw it come out a couple weeks ago. And don't worry about, I know that it's kind of hard to see the print here. There's a lot going on. So I went ahead and teased out the main concerns for presidents. This was out of 150 respondents nationwide. Building material costs, far and away, 71%. That large part of that is the lumber. The lumber has skyrocketed, really increasing the cost of building a new home. Land prices at 54% and gapping out of lots at 52%. Building material supply and new home affordability. These two I highlighted in red because they had the biggest jump from the January survey. So as I said, this is from February, and the presidents are showing increased concern. It jumped 10 points from January for building material supply. So never mind how much lumber costs and the rising cost of just building a home, period. It's can you get it? And it's just, shortages across the board. No industry is left untouched. And this is a pain point that's going to be with us for the rest of the year until, the global supply chain gets back to humming along at normal rhythm. New home affordability jumped 9 points from January. And again, this is a nationwide survey. I would wager to guess if it was just concentrated on Northwest, it'd be a much higher percentage because we're seeing just a crazy growth of appreciation in median price values. So what are the challenges facing the new home builders other than the survey we just saw? Well, building material costs, I revisit it. The National Association of Home Builders estimated that a new home is $24,000 more due to just the lumber increase. Supply chain disruptions. We talked about the building materials, but this also includes appliances. You got the house finished and you're ready to give the keys to the home buyer, but you don't have the fridge and the stove. So that's becoming a real pain point as well. Entitlement and permitting delays. We saw last week that Portland Bureau of Development Services laid off 13 employees, much to the chagrin of business leaders. And, the threat of layoffs is not over yet. There could be more, and a large part of that is due to the lack of commercial and business investment. But this is going to impact, if you're looking in the urban core of developing, this is going to, just another barrier of entry really for a builder. Elongated construction from start to completion. This is, again, tied in with the jurisdictional delays, supply chain disruption issues. The Washington Energy Code, obviously this is applicable to Clark County, but Governor Inslee vetoed the extension to withhold the implementation of this code till like summer. That didn't happen. So right now it's in effect immediately. It went into effect February, and that's just another headache for a lot of home builders on top of all the other challenges they're facing in these unprecedented times. Affordability. It's tough. It's really tough to make it work. And, the new home builders, they have to project revenues when they make the land deals out in a couple of years ahead of time. And, it's just the question is like, how much more room is there to grow with prices? And that's something to keep an eye on. Land scarcity and cost. It's hard in the Pacific Northwest. In Portland, a lot of things that make this great, make it lucky for us to live in this region are the green spaces, the parks, the mountains, the topography, the water bodies. But at the same time, that's a real pinch point for finding land for developer and builders to provide new homes for. But it's not all bad news. We got low mortgage interest rates. There has been an uptick recently, but we're still at historical lows. We're sitting at 3%, which is just really appealing for a lot of folks on the sidelines that may want to get a new home and try to take advantage of these rates before inflation arrives and further puts upward pressure. Professional jobs growth. I think we've all heard the story that, the layoffs really impacted renters, lower income workers. Not to say like everybody, they were the only ones that got hurt, but for the most part, the people with the money that new home builders target, they relatively have good job security. Existing owners have equity. We hear a lot about, the forbearance and once that's let up. And, I think a lot of people still remember 2008 and where there's all these foreclosures and distressed properties. But right now, this is a whole different ballgame. That even if you're in trouble right now, not to be insensitive to families that are laid off or trying to make ends meet and they can't make the mortgage payment, just strictly speaking, objectively in a business sense, you can sell that home. Chances are high that you have accumulated some appreciation if you bought a few years ago, and you'll have 5 sellers knocking on your door the next day as soon as you put a listing up. Demographics, that's a great tailwind for us, especially the millennials. They have finally arrived to the party. A lot of them are, family formation in their time of their lives right now. I actually hosted a President's Council for presidents of builders in Portland and Seattle. And, a lot of them were saying, not only are we seeing a lot of millennials, but they have the cash. They're putting down substantial down payments. That's not a surprise given that, a lot of these millennials, these professionals are working for tech companies, have stock options and bonuses, and have been accumulating wealth, and they're ready to put it down. And that's helping, obviously, to drive the prices north. Work from anywhere is here to stay. Expands the buyer pool market. And, there's a lot of misconceptions here. Sometimes I feel like it's not going to be work from home for everybody exclusively. It's going to be more of a flex situation. And on top of that, it's not that everyone is, leaving Portland to become a potato farmer. We see the same dynamic in Seattle. Not everyone's, people are leaving the core, but they're staying within the region. People are leaving Portland downtown and they're going to Happy Valley. It's more of like that. And, it's still within striking distance, an hour or two of commute to your workplace. Technology, virtual selling, you really got to be, you got to have an online presence for sure, whether you're a broker or a builder. But this helps grease the skids, so to speak, for home buyers going out there, finding what they want and pulling the trigger. And as millennials, and then behind them, Gen Z in a few years, this cohort, they're very comfortable with buying online and doing their research online. So that helps facilitate, the home buying experience. And home is more important than ever for obvious reasons. Virtual work from home, virtual schooling, it's becoming more and more of like your gym, your mini social gathering place, your workspace. So, people really want to have that pride in home ownership. Conclusions. Well, 2021 is very promising for builders, but it's not without its challenges. Clark and Washington counties lead the charge, although Clackamas is accelerating, especially around Happy Valley. There's a lot of activity there. It's very attractive, and we've seen a lot of price growth. New attached product continues to increase its market share, and these attached homes are, being found further away from your traditional urban markets. It's not always downtown condo units now. New home construction will not resolve the low inventory woes that we're experiencing. I'm sorry to report, but that's just the truth. I don't see anything in the pipeline, the permits, the vacant developed lots, the futures, that there's going to be a huge influx, a huge release of inventory soon. That's going to have to occur more on the existing home side of things. Demographics are a huge tailwind for the housing market. And the appreciation is unsustainable. The entry-level buyer is just getting hammered. It's really, really tough if you're not, if you're not an Amazon employee or work at Intel or Nike in management. It's really tough to make it pencil. And so, with that, I that's why, we see some price growth on the horizon, but expect some softening. Again, though, it won't be a crash. There won't be a correction. This is nowhere near 2008. The inventory is still just incredibly low, and the demand is incredibly high. It's not just mortgage rates that are driving this. There are a lot of families that want the space, and it's just the demographics, plain and simple. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. Again, I'm Mark Zawistoski, Regional Director. Ryan Prazen is Director of Business Development. If you want to learn more about Zonda and what we can do for you, please reach out to Ryan. If you're already a customer, which I'm sure some of you are on this webinar, Erica Caccetti is your point of contact. She's a Regional Account Manager, and she'd be happy to set up a demo as well, and also customized demos for whatever business objective you may have. And so again, I'd like to thank you all, and I wish you all continued success in 2021. And I look forward to, doing these events in person someday soon. So take care. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, thank you so much for that presentation. It was so complete that we do have very few questions to ask for you. But if you'll take just a minute, we'll start. Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Here is number one. What do you see the impact of HB 2001 on middle housing?
Right now, it just went into effect. So I don't see any dramatic changes in the near future. Right now, home builders are presented with a whole host of challenges, but I do feel that this is the type of legislation that helps address the inventory issue. We definitely, have to loosen up the zoning requirements for just single family and get more of that multifamily, higher density housing to provide more product. But we're not going to see a huge uptick in the next year or two on that. It would be mostly the small, medium-sized builders that take advantage of that.
Perfect. And with HB 2001, we see our RPAC dollars at work. So thank you, everyone, for contributing with that. Question number 2, my friend. Are developers pulling permits for more duplex, triplex, and multiple housing units as a result?
Yeah, I mean, I think, overall, the new home builders are, a couple graphs I showed in the presentation are doing more of the attached product, more of the high density, especially as land is tighter to find. That's why it's great. The HB 2001 is the, a step in the right direction for sure. We need to have the higher density. I think the permits will be pulled more for duplexes and townhomes, especially given the fact that attached product was selling well during the pandemic in 2020.
And definitely we're seeing a lot of multiplexes going up all around East County and across Portland Metro. So our last question, my friend, is there a region here in the Pacific Northwest or anywhere else in the country you feel is most on track to solve the inventory challenge?
Well, if we talk, let's start with the whole country. Obviously Texas and Arizona, Florida, they can roll out those subdivisions like carpeting. So, they're addressing the inventory issue. However, that being said, they are throttling sales. It's hard for them to keep up. I mean, the demand is red hot across the board, not just here locally, but across the nation. If we zero in more on the Pacific Northwest, for those of you familiar with Seattle area, we're seeing a lot more growth to Kitsap County, people taking the ferry and going to the west, and also Monroe on Highway 2 there, and Maple Valley and Black Diamond. So it's more of the peripheral growth. We're seeing a lot of that happen in Seattle, and then in Portland, we're getting a lot of builder interest in like Yamhill County, looking at Sandy, again pushing out, and we see that in Happy Valley, right? That's really taken off in the last few years. So I think that kind of pattern is going to continue. It's not going to go in the far flung reaches, but again, like within an hour or two of your office commute, especially if you're going into the office a couple of days a week. But really, what the challenge is hard here for inventory is the land. It's the waters, the topography. The Pacific Northwest, Oregon, it's highly regulated. There's a lot of jurisdictional hurdles that a builder has to jump through to make things happen. And then there's a steep cost in all that gets passed on to the buyer. Another great example of a jurisdictional challenge is the Washington Energy Code that went into effect last month. This is, builders have been pleading for an extension to the summer. Supply chain disruptions, lumber costs. I mean, there's just a whole host of issues that they're trying to address right now. I wish I had better news to answer that question and say, yeah, we're going to address the inventory problem, but it's here to stay. And it's been something in the making for the last 10 years. If you look nationwide, building permits have not kept up with the demographics. And the millennials are here in force, family formation's happening. The demand's not going to wane that much, even if mortgage rates tick up. People still need homes for their families, and it's going to be a challenge that's with us. So it's going to be more creative solutions such as modular home building, maybe manufacturing. That's getting better and better, and more vertical and higher density. Again, that's why HB 2001 we need more legislation like that to help address the.
Yeah, excellent information. Depth of knowledge on so many things today. Mark, thank you for helping us do our jobs better. We appreciate your contribution to this year's Super Meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You bet. Okay, much more to come, folks. Very soon, we'll have Jeff Wiren step up and give us his wisdom for the day. If you remember, as Lisa spoke of Jeff earlier, and all of us know who Jeff is the president of Premier Property Group and our president-elect for Oregon Realtors, and always has great wisdom to throw at us. But next we have Deb Price, who wants to share a little bit about someone very special to all of us, who has been a contributor to our success for many years. So Deb, we'd love to hear what you have to say. Take it away.
Hello everyone, my name is Debbie Price and I'm with Berkshire Hathaway Northwest Real Estate. We're here today to congratulate Gay Bell on 31 years working for First American Title. Gay started a career in 1990 with First American in Oak Grove, working in escrow. In fact, the day she started, half of the office didn't show up because they all quit and went to another title company. So Gay did just what Gay does and handled it like a champ. She was only in escrow for a short time when Chuck O'Rourke saw her, the sales manager at the time, and saw great potential and promoted her to sales. To this day, she makes the job look quite simple. But in the beginning, she did have to learn the hard way by asking 1,000 questions, so she was sure not to lead a realtor or a lender down the wrong path. As those of you that know her, she always has something to say that she didn't know. What to say when questions were thrown at her by a customer, but she still will find an answer. Gay has always had a special place in her heart for all of her customers. She is loyal, dedicated, and always will get to the bottom of an issue if an agent needs her help. Her unwavering enthusiasm and her can-do approach to meeting clients' needs has remained consistent for 31 years. She embraces all resources, always willing to share the latest and greatest tools. Goes that extra mile, and without a shadow of a doubt, clearly cares about each and every client and coworker. She is an iconic fixture in our community, and she will be greatly missed beyond measure. Gay Bell, we love you.
Thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about another CE opportunity later this week. It'll be Friday at 10 a.m. and it's from First American Title. It's going to be about foreclosure and bankruptcy following COVID, and it should be a pretty good class.
Absolutely will, Lisa. Thanks. And our next video is from one of our affiliates, Apollo. Take it away. Thank you, Apollo Drain, for your sponsorship.
We appreciate you, Apollo. So don't forget about the wonderful CE opportunities. We have one later today, Thursday, and Friday. And of course, our raffle. We actually have really great raffle prizes. We have a huge TV. We have some gift baskets. I think we have a projector.
We have a projector as well. Lots of good things. So buy those tickets, folks. Every penny goes to RPAC.
Well, let's answer the question, what is ZOCAM? And the answer is IM, an app that safely deposits earnest money electronically. Personally, in my business, my clients are loving this choice. They can do it from home. It's super easy, so.
So who is the winner of this trivia question?
Jamie Nadeski.
Congratulations! You are now the proud recipient of a $50 Visa gift card. Thanks for playing.
And thank you, Northwest Reverse Mortgage, for sponsoring that question.
Okay, folks, are you having fun with these trivia questions? Here is number 4. Are you ready? Okay,
I'm ready.
Here we go. This one is sponsored by EMAR. Which of the following does not apply to adjusting the interest rate? R, loan to value, S, debt to income ratio, T, credit scores, or U, property type?
Oh, the questions are definitely getting harder. What do you think?
They are. This one could be tough.
This one again is sponsored by EMAR, and next we're going to hear from Breezy with Northwest Reverse Mortgage sponsor. Sorry, Northwest Reverse Mortgage.
Yeah, and Breezy, thank you for participating because we know the answer to reverse mortgage is blowing in the wind.
On to you, Breezy.
Uncover an entire new source of buyers and sellers with Northwest Reverse Mortgage. In 2020, 53% of home sellers and almost 40% of home buyers were baby boomers or older. With reverse mortgages, expand options for your clients age 60 or older to purchase the home they really want with no monthly mortgage payments, while increasing your listings by maximizing the possibilities for their next step. RSVP for our class today and grow your business with the Reverse Mortgage for Purchase program.
Hey, Breezy, thanks for blowing in and telling us all that Northwest Reverse Mortgage has to offer. And folks, remember your CE opportunities are an hour today, Thursday, and Friday, so take advantage of those for your own personal development. And the raffle continues through Friday as well. So let's dig deep and support RPAC. Lisa, take it away.
Thanks, Joel. Our next speaker is sponsored by Fairway Mortgage with Bill Clark. I want to personally thank you, Bill. And our next speaker is going to talk about how to survive in a low inventory market. It is Jeff Wiren. Jeff is the president of Premier Property Group. He's also the incoming president for OR. And I'm super excited to hear what he has to say. So take it away, Jeff.
There you go, Jeff.
All right, hey, thank you guys so much. It's a pleasure to be here today. I will say I had to walk through several layers of cheese just to get in the door here today with all of the stuff going back and forth, but it's a lot of fun. I also want to say that that was a wonderful introduction, but nobody commented on how good of a hair day I'm having, and I was a little curious about that because you mentioned it with Greg Whistler, and I know that other than Kurt Von Waswith with RMLS, Greg has some of the best hair in the industry. So. All right, we're going to talk about 5 main points today. We're going to talk about prospecting, we're going to talk about follow-up, enthusiasm and consistency, drafting competitive offers for your buyers, and helping your sellers navigate multiple offers. We all know it's a low inventory market, historically low. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If you were selling real estate in 2006 and 2007, it was a low inventory market then as well. And then you swung the pendulum into even 2009 and 2010, and you couldn't give a house away. I mean, I know a lot of you that are watching this were selling real estate back at that time, and it was a dramatic shift. Now, listening to Mark, one of the things that is evident from his presentation is we're not going to build our way out of the inventory shortage. That's not going to happen. And I believe in that. I think he's right about that. But what I can tell you is economic reality shift, market dynamic shift, and this is a temporary state of being for us. When I say that, I don't mean to imply that I think that by next year we're going to have a huge shift in the level of inventory. No. But you need to understand that where we are right now is not where we're always going to be, and it's not the end of the world, folks. I've got buyers too. I'm an active realtor just like you, and I have buyers I've written 10, 15 offers for, and they get shut down on every one of them. I have buyers who I'm pending with, and we've prevailed, okay? So I don't have any silver bullets for you that you don't already know, but I want to talk with you about some of the fundamentals that are going to help you in your business. So let's get started. First point is prospecting. And in relation to prospecting, let's talk about creating our own inventory, right? I'm going to ask you, my presentation is me talking to you. I'm going to ask you to pull out a pen and a piece of paper. I'm going to give you some wisdom here, and I hope you'll make some notes. I'm also going to give you some key scripts, and I know that EMAR will email out my talking points and my outline for you after this, so you can have those, but you're going to want to write them down, and you're going to want to help them stick, okay? First, create your own inventory. How do you do that? Well, there's a couple of ways that I've done it in the past, and I'm doing it now. Review your transactions for the past 10 years, focusing in on the last 5 years of sales. Call your clients. I'm going to repeat that. Call them. Call your clients. Be sure to check in on their life status and their current housing needs. Has their family grown or shrunk? Have they had kids head off to college? Have they had a baby? Do they need an extra bedroom? Did they have parents maybe move in with them and now they have a need for an ADU or anything like that? Do they need to sell for financial reasons? Can they now work from home and they have an interest in moving? I have clients who just sold their house in Newburgh to move to Henderson, Nevada because they can, because they work virtually now and it doesn't matter where they live and they wanted to move to the sunshine. Can't blame them for that, okay? Offer a complimentary market analysis. Again, this isn't your silver bullet. This isn't rocket science. You've heard this year after year, time after time, every prospecting class you've been to, and most of you post it on Facebook regularly, right? I can give you a complimentary CMA. Absolutely you can, and it's easier than you think to put together a quality CMA by using the RPR resource. I use that, it's fantastic. They just revamped it, and I would encourage you, if it's been a while since you've checked out RPR, to hop on and check it out. Farming, cold calling, and door knocking are all acceptable prospecting mechanisms as well that you should be employing in your business to try and build that inventory. You can't wait for the inventory to come to you. You have to go get it, right? That's the key point here. You've got to go aggressively pursue the inventory. I market to my sphere. I do business with my sphere of influence. I'm not a huge cold caller. I'm not a huge door knocker. But I absolutely am calling through to my sphere of influence, offering a market analysis. You'd be surprised how many times that I've done that when what I've heard from the response on the other end is, wow, Jeff, how did you know we've been thinking about selling? Your call is perfectly timed, right? I hear this all the time, folks. And that's a big difference between me getting that response because I made a proactive call to my sphere instead of hearing from them after they've moved. Oh, Jeff, we've moved. We need you to take us off of your database or give us our new address, right? And I'm like, oh, geez, why didn't I have that opportunity? You got to call if you want the business. Let's talk about buyer prospecting. I have a fundamental question for you. Do you want more buyers right now? Seriously. Do you want more buyers right now? Because if in the back of your mind, you're saying, no, I don't want more buyers right now. I've got 10 buyers that I'm working with. I can't get an offer for any one of them accepted. That's the energy that you're giving to prospects when you talk to them, right? When somebody calls and says, oh, Jeff, I'm so excited to talk to you about buying my first home, and they hear from me, oh, yeah, boy, it's a tough market out there for buyers. Instant energy drain, right? You've got to be aggressive and you've got to call back quickly. You've got to be energetic and enthusiastic and give that to them, right? Don't delay on the call back. Don't delay in writing an offer for a client. Get moving on it, right? When you get that opportunity, take advantage of it just like you would if that opportunity came to you 4 years ago, right? Here's what I know. Every active buyer is an opportunity for you to earn a commission. Be as thrilled to have that buyer right now as you would have been if they had called you 4 years ago when we had more inventory. Open houses are still an excellent opportunity to meet buyers. And I would say, think creatively and do some open houses outside of the normal pale, right? Outside of the normal Saturday, Sunday, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. That's great, right? But what about holding your listing open on a Thursday afternoon, or I guess it's Wednesday, on a Wednesday afternoon from 4 to 7 or 5 to 7, right? During rush hour when people are headed home. You got to get aggressive. There's lots of ways that you can leverage the inventory you have and maybe the inventory from the people that work in your office if you don't happen to have any of your own. Building your inventory knowledge is still a high value activity in this marketplace. One of the things that I regularly coach agents on is this point. If you're a good agent, you've come in, you've done your job, you've prospected in the morning, you've dealt with all of the repair and addendum issues, you've written an offer, you've done what you normally do in the course of your day, and now it's 1 o'clock, right? You can tap out and go golfing, you can go to a happy hour, you can waste time doing whatever you want, or you can go tour inventory. If you're the agent that's touring inventory and then you get that buyer call or you meet that prospect at an open house, guess what every agent they've talked to when they come and tour your open house has said to them? Oh, let me get your email address and I can send you properties to look at. If they've been to 5 open houses, they've heard that 5 times, right? You could be the one agent who says, oh, I see that you're looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot home in Fairview. I toured 10 properties like that last week. There's a couple that are still active on the market that might be a fit for you. Would you like to see them? If you're the agent offering that, you're going to win, because everybody else is only offering to set them up on a drip, and that's not real, okay? If you want to be busy, be busy. That's the point, right? As a buyer's agent right now, I know you're all busy showing properties, and I know how immediate you have to be. When a new listing comes on the market, you've got to get on it. You've got to write that offer quickly, and in the back of your mind, I know what you're thinking. This offer doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of getting accepted. I get it, but you're wrong about that in a lot of ways, right? The better, more aggressive you are in getting there the first to the table, and your energy level and enthusiasm with that client and with the listing agent is going to help that a lot. Bottom line is this: the more buyers you have, the greater your odds of having transactions that close. Couldn't be more simple than that, right? The more people you're working with, the more activity you've got in that queue, the more likely you're going to get one to stick, okay? If you've got 5 buyers and that's your normal flow of business over the course of your career, you might need 10, 15, 20 buyers in that queue right now to get a regular transaction count of 3 to 4 closings, right? You got to amp it up, okay? Now let's talk about the second point, which is follow-up. Weekly contact with all active buyers. I'm going to talk about it from the buyer perspective and the seller perspective. Not just follow up in regard to showing properties. I know you're regularly talking to your buyers every day, right? They send you showing requests through your platform. They call you and say, hey, I found this great property. I want to go see it. You're calling them with that. I'm talking about detailed conversations about their criteria, what the challenges are in the market, and those kind of things. Even if you're touring with a client a few times a week, a time-blocked call specific to how you're helping them has a huge impact, and it sets you apart, and it keeps the momentum going for your client. If your buyers aren't as active in touring, if you're like me and you have some clients who started out and they were super excited and then we couldn't get them a house, we couldn't get an offer accepted, and now they're kind of not as excited, even more so, that weekly call, how you doing, just checking in. By the way, I'm looking at the website right now. I've been looking at the inventory as it's coming and going on the market. Do you have any questions? Is it time to update your pre-approval letter? All of those things. You've got to be staying engaged with them, okay? Here's the thing. You got to know if they're still looking. They've got to know that you're still their agent. I would posit to you that if you're not contacting them at least once a week, you really might not be. More likely that they're going to find another agent to help them with their purchase or walk into an open house and buy a property from the listing agent. Weekly contact with sellers. The listing sold quickly with multiple offers. Great job, right? You're riding the high that your sellers think you're this Batman, real estate agent, which, by the way, I'm Batman, if anybody's asking. But don't forget to continue to follow up with your sellers weekly and check in regarding the transaction, right? You've got to keep the momentum of your excellent work in getting that property sold and endear yourself to the sellers with that follow-up. This is where your future opportunity is, by the way, right? Any agent can get a home sold in a market like this. Is that true? Is it fair for me to say? It is, right? But if you do a weekly follow-up and you're the one staying consistent with that client, with that seller, you're much more likely to do this in a way that garners their attention and their interest to want to work with you again and to refer you to their family and friends. Your future opportunity lies in your weekly follow-up and your energy and correspondence with that seller, instead of, I did an awesome job, I got great marketing out there, we got 20 offers, we're pending 40,000 over asking, and now, oh, by the way, you don't hear from me anymore because I did my job for you. No, the deal hasn't closed yet, right? All of the follow-up activities for that seller, that's where your future opportunity is. Third point, enthusiasm and consistency. There's only 2 things you control in this market, and by the way, there's only 2 things you control in your career, and that is your attitude and your activities, right? That's it. You never control the outcome. You certainly don't control the outcome in this market, and by the way, you never have, okay? Some of you think you do, but you don't. You only influence by your activities and your attitude. If you've got a negative attitude, your clients are going to feel it, okay? Here's my advice. Turn off the TV. turn off the talk radio. Shut down YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Not right now. Watch YouTube right now. But in general. And by the way, I think there's a new social media platform coming out where YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook are all coming together. They're going to develop a platform called UTwitface. Has anybody heard of that? Should be fun. Anything that creates anxiety or makes you feel negative, it is as simple as choosing not to take it in. You've got to turn off those influences. I'm going to tell you, I don't watch TV. I don't watch network television. I don't listen to talk radio in my car because whoever's sitting in as the president in the White House, whatever's happening with the civil unrest in the city of Portland, and even whatever's happening with our governor in regard to what's the regulations are for COVID-19, for our global pandemic. Now, I have to pay attention to the rules and follow the rules, but none of that stuff affects how much real estate I'm going to sell, right? Even in the most dire circumstance, I can sell real estate. And there will be agents who have the record year of their career this year, despite the inventory challenge that we're dealing with. So will that be you is the question, okay? The buyers are anxious and they're discouraged. They need you to be a positive and reasonable voice for them. If you're also anxious and discouraged, the buyer's ultimately going to seek somebody else who's going to give them the energy they need to get across the goal line. Consistent and intentional follow-up is imperative. I talked about that already, but I want to really hammer that home, right? Especially from the perspective of a buyer. Isn't it tough when you've written that offer, you've dropped everything to go show a property, you've stayed up till 11 o'clock at night writing the offer and shown the comparable sales, done all of the stuff to give them the best chance of getting their offer accepted, and then you never hear back from the listing agent, right? Or you hear back and they didn't get their offer accepted, there were 20 offers on the table and somebody else was willing to pay $50,000 more than your client. Man, it's hard to be the bearer of bad news. But you got to do it quickly and you have to do it with encouragement. You've got to be the one right away to follow up with your buyer and say, here's what I know. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I know we are going to find and prevail in finding you the right home, okay? So you got to let your buyer know that you've seen all kinds of real estate markets, and through it all, you found that there's a buyer for every home and a home for every buyer. I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to ask you to write it down. There's a buyer for every home and there's a home for every buyer. You will prevail in finding a home. And we look forward to a fun afternoon in the future, meeting them in their backyard for a beer or a glass of wine, right? I always like to put that in, right? If you're my buyer and I've got to be the bearer of bad news, I'm calling you. I'm not just forwarding the email to you. Yes, I'm going to forward the response, but I'm going to call you first and say, hate to be the bearer of bad news, right? Your offer did not get accepted, but here's what I know. We are going to prevail in finding you the right home. In every market, there's a home for every buyer and a buyer for every home. That's what I know. And I know 2 years down the road, you and I are going to be sitting on the back deck drinking a Guinness, and we're going to have, a wonderful conversation about how much you love being in this place. You have to paint that picture for them and get them to that point in the future. Okay? Weekly contact, it must be positive and encouraging. It's just imperative. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about some specifics, right? So drafting a competitive offer while protecting your buyer, we're going to talk about that. And we're going to also talk about how to help your seller navigate multiple offers, because I think these points are critical. And one of the trends that I'm seeing in the market right now is a complete waiver of contingencies and things that really, quite frankly, I'm not too excited as a managing principal broker to see. I think there's a lot of risk in that. So we're going to talk about some details. First and foremost, in writing a competitive offer for your buyer, what price should they offer? Should it be 10%, 15%, 20% over asking? The honest answer is there's no way to know that for sure. You can prepare a CMA for them so they have objective information to work with, and you should be doing that. You should be offering that market comparable sale information to your client. But at the end of the day, you have to ask them the golden question, right? Here's the golden question. I encourage you to write it down. The buyer's going to say, well, how much should we offer, Jeff? My response is this. What I need you to tell me, my question for you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is what's the price point that you can offer at which if you get your offer accepted, you'll be delighted that you got the house at a price you were comfortable to pay. But if your offer is rejected, you'll be relieved at the point that you didn't pay more than you wanted to for the home, okay? There is a dollar amount between those two realities. I'm happy to offer this much for the home, and if my offer gets accepted, I'm not going to have buyer's remorse feeling like I paid too much. And if my offer is rejected, all that means is somebody else overpaid for this property or was willing to pay more for it than I was, and I'm okay, and I'm at peace with that. There's a number that lies between those two realities, and that's the golden question you need to ask your buyer. They need to tell you what that number is. You can provide data, but they need to tell you. Let's talk about escalation clauses really quick. Do they work? Sometimes they do, but I always find that highest and best is usually best. And that's what I tell my clients when they say, should we use an escalation clause? Or when we talk about it. Highest and best is usually best. But I would say this, if you're going to use an escalation clause, make it count. If you're offering on my $500,000 home and you say, well, I'll pay $520,000, I'd pay up to $540,000, $1,000 more than any competing offer up to $540,000, $1,000. And then I get an offer for $538,000, right? If I'm your listing agent, I'm saying to you as a seller, buyer one said the house was worth $520,000 to them. They're only willing to pay $540,000 for it if somebody else is willing to pay more for it. Buyer two said the house was worth $538,000 to them. Why would you want to negate that offer for $1,000? It's not worth it, right? Take the higher offer. That's my advice typically to the seller. By the way, a lot of sellers aren't super excited about escalation clauses. They feel a little icky to a lot of people who don't work in the real estate industry on a regular basis, okay? If you're going to use an escalation clause, you better make it good. And if it's less than $5,000 over a competing offer, you're probably just wasting paper. That's my personal opinion. I'm sure that there are a lot of you watching this who disagree with me completely and who say, oh man, I do this all the time and I regularly get offers accepted with $1,000 over the next competing. Good for you. I'm just telling you how I handle it and how I talk my clients through it. Contingency waivers. I want to spend a few minutes on this. Inspection contingencies should not be waived unless the buyer is extremely comfortable with the condition of the home. I'm competing with a lot of contingency waivers. Here's the thing. You can work with the buyer to pre-schedule a home inspection while you're writing the offer so that you can negotiate a shorter inspection contingency time period. But that buyer is going to be that buyer of that home and the owner of that home, if they prevail, for a long time. And 3 years from now, when there's a water main break or a roof leak or a failed siding issue, and they get a contractor out there that says, oh, this thing's been going on for years. No one told you? All they're going to remember if they have a multiple $1,000 issue when it comes to risk management is, my agent recommended that I waive the home inspection contingency so that I could prevail. They're not going to remember that you were trying to help them get their offer accepted. All they're going to remember is, Jeff told me to waive the inspection contingency, and that's why I didn't know that this problem existed on my home. How am I doing? Am I running out of time? Doing great? Okay. All right. So rather than waiving the inspection contingency, work to pre-schedule an inspection for your client, with your client, so that you know you can write maybe a 5 business day inspection contingency period instead of 10. Also, you could put in there, buyer will only negotiate lender required repairs with a maximum cap to the seller of X amount. You could even contemplate the possibility of saying, if you're going to waive the home inspection contingency, what we're really going to be doing is waiving the right for you to ask for any repairs from the seller, but we are going to retain the right of unconditional disapproval so you can have a home inspection. And if there's a major problem, we already know the seller's not willing to do anything, but you still have the right to terminate the transaction if you find a big issue, okay? Now let's move on to appraisal contingency waivers. If the buyer has the financial ability to fully waive the appraisal contingency, great. If not, then talk with your buyer about the possibility of a partial appraisal contingency waiver. So here's how that looks, right? Most buyers don't have unlimited funds for a down payment. And I see all kinds of language that actually causes some confusion and may actually bind a seller accidentally to having to agree to a certain amount over the asking price. The other thing that I see a lot is if property appraises for as little as this much, right? Say on a $500,000 purchase, if property appraises for $480,000, buyer, or a low amount of $480,000, buyer will make up the difference in the down payment. I've heard lenders say, and I've talked to other agents about the reality that sometimes that's a trigger for an appraiser to say, this thing was listed for $450,000. I can't necessarily substantiate $500,000. And in the offer, you say that if it only appraises for $480,000, then you'll still make up the difference and buy the property. So guess what? $480,000 is what I think it's worth, okay? There's a better way to do this, and I have some script language for you. So write it down. Again, we're going to send this outline out after we're done today, so if you can't take it all in right now, you'll have it. Here's the language that I use. In the event of a low appraisal, the buyer will increase their down payment to a total amount of, write the amount for the total down payment, in order to procure the loan. If this down payment is not satisfactory to procure the loan, then financing contingency failure will apply. That accomplishes a couple of things. First and foremost, it fits in the additional financing provision section in the sale agreement. It fits there. You don't have to do a separate addendum to add this language. Secondly, you're not signaling a sale price for an appraiser to go, oh, they said they'd still buy it if I only appraised it for $480,000, so that's my target. What you're saying is the buyer will increase their total down payment to this amount. That's what they can do. And if that's satisfactory to procure the loan, awesome, then everybody's moving forward. If it's not, then the financing contingency failure applies, and all that means is the parties at that point have the opportunity to renegotiate the sales price as needed to keep the transaction together, or the transaction terminates if the seller's not willing to do that, okay? Have the buyer do the math and determine what they can actually afford to do. And as a listing agent, when you see that, and when you see the down payment, and you're helping your client negotiate multiple offers, do the math, right? With the down payment, if they're getting an 80% conventional loan, right? If they're getting a conventional mortgage and they're putting more than 80% down, you can back into that down payment and figure out how low could this property appraise for and have the lender still be giving them a loan that's not going to require them to increase their down payment, because the lender is going to provide 80% of the appraised value instead of the purchase price. But if their down payment is already above the 20%, it might be a moot point. I had that happen last year, and we kept the sales price the same. There was no need to negotiate because the buyer was already putting a significant enough down payment in. Lead-based paint, make sure you give the buyer the EPA pamphlet up front and ask them in your buyer consultation if they're going to be concerned about having a lead-based paint inspection. So when you're writing an offer, the buyer has the right. If they're going to waive it up front. Don't check it just so the buyer has the potential option and signal to the seller, oh yeah, well the buyer may want to do a lead-based paint test if they already know they're not going to. Now, if they don't know, and if they want the right to have the lead-based paint test, absolutely write it in for them. And I'm not encouraging you to tell them they shouldn't have a lead-based paint inspection at all. I'm only saying review the information with them up front. And if they already know they're going to waive it, then draft your offer that way. The disclosure contingency waiver, that might be a very easy one for them to waive if the listing agent has been proactive and put the disclosures on the MLS in the documents section, and you can download that information and share it with your buyer up front so that when you're writing the offer, they already have the disclosures. If there's nothing questionable on the disclosures that would require them to terminate or ask questions of the seller, then maybe they're willing to waive that contingency up front. Nothing wrong with that, okay? Last point in regard to drafting a competitive offer is utilizing your lender to help sell the buyer. First of all, getting a solid pre-approval letter from a reputable lender up front is a must for buyers that need financing. I think everybody watching this probably has enough sense in this market to know if you're submitting an offer without a pre-approval letter and your buyer's getting financing, you don't stand a chance, okay? So you need to be honest with your buyer about that up front. But a solid pre-approval letter from a reputable lender is critical if your buyer's getting financing because they're competing with a lot of cash right now. I always ask my lender to contact the listing agent, right? Not saying to the listing agent, oh, feel free to call the lender. I've worked with them a lot. She's fantastic to work with. No, flip that coin a little bit. Ask your lender to contact the listing agent, right? hey, I'm submitting an offer for my buyer right now. Can you give me a half an hour to reach out to the listing agent, go over the details of the offer, and then I'm going to let them know you'll be calling. This is the conversation I'm having with my lender. And then the lender calls. That's impressive, and that's highly competitive. All right, now let's switch gears, and this is my last point today. And this is about helping your seller navigate multiple offers. If you don't have a multiple offer spreadsheet, make one, borrow one, download one off of the internet, steal one from another realtor that you know. I don't care. Get a multiple offer spreadsheet to help clarify the objective points of the offer for your seller, right? If you're simply forwarding offers to your seller and then having a conversation with them or even meeting with them in person without the use of a multiple offer spreadsheet, guys, your seller doesn't know who's on first and who's on second. They can't keep 15 offers straight in their head. You can't keep 15 offers straight in your head, okay? Objectify it for your seller. Put it all on a multiple offer spreadsheet. Remember that the highest offer is not always the best offer, and sometimes you'll see that when you're putting those criteria down, right? How long is the inspection contingency period? Did they waive it completely? How much are they putting down? How much is their earnest money? What's their closing date? All of those factors, okay? Discuss an offer deadline with your seller. If they want to set a deadline, be sure to include that language in the MLS, but I always like to include escape language for the seller's benefit. So for example, here's a script. Again, you can write this down and it'll be on my notes for you later. All offers will be submitted to seller as received. I always say that up front. Seller intends to respond to all offers on, put a date and time. Please set offer expiration to accommodate this. Seller reserves the right to accept any offer at any time at the seller's discretion. That's tag language that goes in there. So you're signaling to a buyer's agent, the intent here is the seller has stated they want to review offers on Friday at 5 o'clock. Please have your expiration match that time period. But by the way, if a really awesome offer comes in today, the seller might take it, and they're reserving the right to do that, okay? I want to talk really quickly about love letters. Love letters from buyers are a significant political topic at this time. There's even legislation being proposed currently to eliminate the love letters and make you as the agent, the listing agent, responsible for not sharing that with your client. So here's the bottom line. I don't encourage them. I do have buyers that want to write them. And if a love letter is submitted with an offer, utilizing that multiple offer spreadsheet is the key way that you can prove that your goal was to help the seller analyze the objective criteria of the offer and that they chose the offer based upon the objective criteria of what truly was the highest and best and not what was stated in any love letter, okay? The question becomes, do I have to submit them? Can I take them off? My personal attitude right now is unless the seller has given you written permission to not present them, and the seller has a right to do that, I submit everything that I receive when I get an offer to the seller. But on that multiple offer spreadsheet, the only criteria are the objective criteria from the offer itself, not even the name of the client. I don't even put the sale agreement number, so the seller can't look at the multiple offer spreadsheet and go to this offer number or sale agreement number. I just call it offer 1, offer 2, offer 3, offer 4, offer 5, whatever, okay? So that's currently how I'm handling love letters. But stay tuned for more to come from Oregon Realtors on that because there is legislation currently being discussed. Those are the 5 points that I have for helping you survive in a low inventory market. What I can tell you is this. This is a temporary state of being. We are going to work our way through this. You are going to succeed. You are going to sell real estate. You have to prospect and you have to stay positive and control your activities. But keep on, keeping on, and I hope you have a great year. Are there questions?
Yeah, we're definitely going to have questions. I wanted to start off personally thanking you for your time and for your wisdom.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
I think we have 4 questions for you if you have time.
Okay.
The first one is, which areas in the Portland metro area are best positioned to weather the low inventory situation?
Oh, that's a great question. In my experience in working in this market and the last time we had limited inventory, usually when inventory tightens and the market becomes a seller's market, people start looking out, right? They're willing to drive a little further. And as I said earlier, a lot of buyers right now, they don't have to go into the office every day of the week or at all anymore. So they're more willing to move to outlying areas to find a more affordable home to purchase. That's not to imply that there's tons of inventory in Sandy and in Lafayette and in Salem. No, those markets are strapped for inventory too. But for those first-time home buyers especially, there's usually more affordable inventory the further out you look. And that's a discussion point that you should be having right now with your buyer. Are you willing to look a little further out than you originally thought? Are your commuting needs the same now as they were 12 months ago prior to COVID-19? They're probably different. Let's talk about that.
Great answer. I love the country. I live out in the country, and everyone should come out there.
But then you won't be in the country anymore, Lisa.
Touche. So this is a good one. I talk to our brokers about this one a lot. What's your advice on how to walk the fine line when a seller is on the fence about listing because they're in fear of being homeless?
That's a great question. One of the things that I've scripted for my clients and we utilize at our company is what I call a reverse contingency. So addressing that with the seller to say, it's kind of a chicken and the egg market right now, right? You're telling me, yeah, I want to sell and I want to buy a different home, but I don't want to sell my house until I know I have a house to move to. And I'm telling you, you don't stand a chance of getting your contingent offer accepted when there's 10 other buyers who are non-contingent and 3 of them are paying cash. So let's look at it this way. Perhaps we could do a reverse contingency on the listing, right? Meaning that we're going to notify a buyer up front that this transaction, the sale of this property that I'm listing, is contingent upon the seller finding suitable replacement property. And then we have specific language for that. And it's equitable and fair between the buyer and the seller. And so some of you are thinking, well, why would a buyer ever agree to that? A, because they don't have anything else to buy, so they're going to pretty much agree to almost anything the seller would want at this point. And B, we make it fair, right? We say to a buyer, we're not asking you to complete a home inspection until we've removed that contingency, right? And we say to a seller, okay, we've got an acceptable offer on your home. We've given you a reverse contingency. You now have 2 to 3 weeks to get real serious, and you're going to write an offer that's only contingent on closing and not contingent on the sale of your property anymore. Now, even that contingency is less competitive in this market, but it's still a heck of a lot better than trying to go in fully contingent.
That was a great answer, and it's a great strategy. I currently have 3 in escrow using that strategy, representing the seller. And when we went to buy, I was worried too, like, am I gonna be able to get them? But I would always tell the other agent that, you know, my clients have already sold their home, that even though it is contingent on the close, we have a backup, and they are homeless. So we are the buyer for you. So that's a great one.
Yeah, and I would say too, you know, that's a great point that you just made. When you're presenting that offer that's contingent only on the closing for a buyer whose home you've sold and is pending, they're a motivated buyer, right? Because at a certain point in time, they're going to be homeless if all of this goes together. So I like to say to my sellers, you know what? For a buyer who's coming, who's sold their home and they're contingent on that closing, if we're through most of the risk of that and it looks like a really solid transaction and property, what I know you have is a super committed buyer at that point, because they're not going to want to close on their home and terminate this transaction over $500 worth of ticky-tack repair items that they can deal with. They got to move. So very, very valid point.
Yeah, and I present it just like you did and talk to the agents, and some of them, the listing agents were like, yeah, you're actually right. They need a home.
Yep.
So, well, a lot of our buyers, agents, and buyers are getting beat up a lot. And I was wondering if you have any advice for them to keep their attitude up.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. And it's tough out there. And I can't deny that reality. You know, and as I said earlier, I sell real estate too. So I completely understand. I have buyers who I've written 10, 15 offers for. But here's what I know. And I've seen it time and time in my career. And I've been selling real estate 17 years. There's some of you who are new. There's some of you who have way more experience than I do watching this who are going to say, I know, Jeff, you're absolutely right. I really honestly can say to every buyer, I've never sold the wrong house to a wrong buyer. I've had buyers miss opportunities. I've had buyers not get the house they thought was perfect for them. I've had buyers have to terminate because an inspection went bad and we couldn't negotiate repairs. And at the end of the day, here's what I know for absolute certainty. I am going to find you a house, and you are going to find the right house, because I'm properly motivated to genuinely serve you and help you accomplish that goal. And a year from now, I'm going to come and I'm going to bring a 6-pack of Guinness, and we're going to sit on the back deck knocking back a few beers, looking at your beautiful backyard and enjoying it, and you're going to know that you bought the right house. That day is going to come, right? So as an agent, you have to believe in that. You have to buy in, and you have to genuinely believe that that's the reality. What I'm telling you is, it is. That's the truth. It really is. You just have to believe it.
I agree. I think if you're positive, your clients will follow with positivity too. So we've got the last question, then you can leave and have that beer.
I think Joel owes me a, doesn't he? Joel, one of us is going to win the whiskey basket, I think. Oh, no. Oh, man.
Well, the last question is, what are some creative, out-of-the-box ways to maintain contact with your clients that's persistent, but you're not being a pain in the, you know.
I love this question. So here's what I'm going to say. I think maybe Lee Toft put this question up there because he likes to throw me curveballs. It could be. Here's the thing. I mentor the Buffini training programs. What I'm going to say is this. For most of you, especially those of you that are new, you're worried about calling the people you know and asking them to use you. You're worried about cold calling because of this exact question. You don't want to be perceived as a pushy salesperson. I can tell you this. You stand at an open house and you ask for the order. You call somebody and you ask if they would refer you or if they have a real estate need. And in your mind, you feel like, boy, I'm sitting here waiting to smack you over the head with the real estate hammer. In the client's mind, you're just having a conversation. You're just asking a question, okay? It seems to you like you're being a pain. It seems to them like you're just asking a question, okay? I'm a singer, and I'm musical. What I know is this, and I do a lot of public speaking. So when I'm singing, when I'm speaking in public, I intentionally have to project. I have to speak louder so that the guy in the back row can hear me as if I'm talking to him. I know this. I know in real estate, you have to be more aggressive than you think to get the business. If you want to close transactions, you have to ask for the order, period. That's not being a pain. That's you doing your job. So in the back of your mind, you think you're being a pain. In their mind, you're just being a real estate agent. You're just doing what they expect you to do, and that's okay. So my answer to this question, Lisa, is there's no secret formula. What are the creative ways? I don't have my phone on me, but that's my creative way. Like the iPhone is a genius tool, and it's nothing new. You all have something like that, right? You can call, text, email, Facegram, Instagram, UTwitFace, all of that stuff right on your iPhone. That's the magic. That's the secret creative way. You've got a phone. Use it. Contact your clients on a regular basis. Let them know how much you're thinking about them. Let them know how much you care about them. Let them know how much you're there to genuinely serve their needs, and you'll never be perceived as being a pain.
I think that is great advice, and I just want to thank you again personally and from EMAR for your time.
Awesome. It was great to be here today. I hope you all took some notes away. Again, my outline's available, and I'm sure that it'll be emailed out to all of you. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jeff. We do have another CE opportunity that is going to be on Thursday. It's at 10 o'clock, and it is from our Stuart Title. It's going to be how to survive a low inventory market. You see the theme? So we hope you can join on that. Just to reiterate, we do have 3 CEs available, one today at 1 o'clock, and Thursday and Friday both at 10 a.m. So you have opportunity for at least 3 hours of CE. And I'm going to let Joel take it over.
Hey, thanks, Lisa. Hey, a couple of things that we need to just touch base on. We are running a little bit over, so thank you for hanging with us. Just about another 5 to 7 minutes. And there's still a couple of trivia questions.
Winners.
Winners. You've got prizes. And the most important thing is when you answer, please text your full name so that we know exactly who it is that is the winner. Okay, thanks. All right, the reason that we're here today is to learn things together, to take it to the next level, to be the best that EMAR can be. But we're raising money for RPAC, and that's really what this is all about. So if you have not yet participated in the raffle, remember that that goes through Friday at 4 p.m., and you can put your bids in between now and then. So follow that link. It was in the email that was sent to you. Also, a very important part of all of that is that our treasurer, Carol Kesser, has created a challenge. And that is, she has contributed $100 directly to RPAC, and she is challenging each one of us to do $100 or more. And the one who has the largest contribution to RPAC by Friday, she will provide a spa day gift basket. The basket includes a lot of things for a spa day, as well as a certificate for a spa experience. So this is the time for us to rise to the challenge and get that Triple Crown win again. So stick with us. Let's do this together, EMAR. Now, I am looking forward to what our next speaker has to say. Vicki Arnold has a few comments that she would like to make directly related to RPAC. So hang in there. Take it away, Vicki.
I learned early on how important RPAC is to our real estate industry. They advocate for the private property rights of Oregonians, our clients. There are lots of examples, but one that stands out to me is stopping the transfer tax. Transfer taxes come due every time a property is sold. Most states have transfer taxes, some multiple transfer taxes. City, state, county, they're due every time a property is sold. Personally, I just don't want that in our state. We are one of 13 states that doesn't have a state transfer tax. We can thank RPAC for that. Our RPAC dollars were put to good use in 2012 when Measure 79 was put on the ballot to stop the transfer tax. We gathered almost 125,000 signatures from around the state just to get it on the ballot, and then do a major campaign to get the message out to voters. What is a transfer tax? How it would impact homeowners, and why they should vote yes to stop the transfer tax. It passed. As recently as 2020, a few people down in Salem, the legislators, were trying to figure out a way around that amendment and are still talking about a transfer tax. I'm really glad we have people down there keeping a watch. I'm proud to be a major donor to RPAC. I believe in what they do. In donating to RPAC, I can invest in my business, in our industry, and it's just another way I can help look out for the interests of my clients. Please join me in giving generously to RPAC. As a realtor, I believe it's one of the best investments you can make.
Thank you, Vicki Arnold. We appreciate you.
Yes, Vicki, thank you very much. And hey, folks, don't forget that your CE is available. A session today, one on Thursday and one on Friday. Make sure you register for those and get those on your calendar. And don't forget, the raffle's still going on through Friday. Buy those tickets, because every penny goes to RPAC. Okay, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm going for the TV myself.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Okay. So go ahead and let's take us to the answer for question number 4.
Sounds good. The question was, which of the following does not apply to adjusting the interest rate? And the answer is S, debt to income ratio. And the winner of the $50 gift card from EMAR is...
Bald.
You? Me? Oh, congratulations. There you go. This has been fun. And here is our final trivia question for the super meeting. Number 5. This is brought to you by 210 Home Buyers Warranty. Thank you very much for being a sponsor for this question. Okay. What year did EMAR win the RPAC Triple Crown? This is NAR's designation of the RPAC Triple Crown, and this has to do with the association that exceeds their goal both by dollar amount and percentage of participation. So, what year did we win that? Lisa, why don't you read those answers for us?
I'm excited. I actually know the answer, but I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to tell anyone. So your choices are W, 2017, X is 2008, Y is 2020, and Z is 2012. So text your name and your answer to the number on the screen, which is 765-688-0363. And Joel, what is the price for this one?
The price for this one is a $50 gift card. What do you think?
I could use $50, that's
okay,
for sure.
Me too. All right, let's do that. All right, okay, so now folks, we have some really great videos from our own members. Powerful, take a moment, take this in, and let's just pause as an association and listen to what they have to say.
I believe that nothing is guaranteed. You have to wake up every morning, you have to get dressed, you have to brush your teeth, brush your hair. It's the same thing in life. You have to make those calls every day. You have to show up. You have to have the lights on. You have to be available, and you have to provide value. If you're just a name or an acronym or access to a form, that's something that somebody else could come in behind you and offer. So what are you doing that sets you apart differently? And that's why I just go back to location and people and relationships. I could leave EMAR. I could do it today, I could do it tomorrow, I could have done it yesterday, but I choose to stay because I like the value that it's provided and the relationships that I have because of that.
And the family atmosphere that you guys have cultivated here coincides beautifully with the professionalism. And it's truly just a one-of-a-kind place to be. Like, you can come in here, you feel at home, you feel comfortable asking questions, and it's just awesome.
I think I want to work for you.
Hey, Kirsten Rogers and Jason and Jacob Going, thank you so much for those powerful messages. We appreciate you being a part of EMAR. Our members are what make EMAR truly special.
And allow me to remind everyone about our special CE opportunities. We have 3 of them this week alone, later today, Thursday, and of course on Friday.
Plus, don't forget the raffle and the challenge for RPAC to raise as much money today as possible. Winners will be announced on the EMAR website later this week. Remember, you have opportunities to buy those tickets through Friday.
Speaking of winners, should we get on to our last trivia answer?
Yes, I can't wait to see who got this right.
So the question was, just to remind you, what year did EMAR win NAR's RPAC Triple Crown?
Okay, do I get to give the answer this time?
You definitely can.
Okay, I'm just going to take that from you because I'm excited about this. This is a huge thing for EMAR. And based on what we do today with the raffle and your donations, we could win it all in one day. Think about that. So the answer, the correct answer is Y, 2020. All right. So, and the winner is?
Cheryl Clunes.
Yay, congratulations. All right, everyone, that was a great trivia question. Lisa, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure spending time with you today. It's been magically delicious. So thank you for bringing the Lucky Charms.
Oh, thank you for that. I couldn't have think of a better way to spend St. Patrick's Day with you and, of course, with all of you out there. I truly appreciate everyone.
Excellent. You know what? Thank you, everyone, for linking in. This has been a unique time for us to have a virtual meeting, and I can't thank the Super Meeting Task Force enough for all that they participated in. Remember to check the EMAR website for updates on the raffle, and it's not over till Friday because there's lots to take in.
We have our CE opportunities coming up, and they're offered by 3 of our favorite title companies. Joel, do you want to?
Sure. There's Stewart Title, there is Lawyers Title, and there is First American Title. So thank you all for your participation. So for today, everyone, so long, and may the road rise up to meet you.
May the luck of the Irish be with you, and of course your raffle tickets.
Bye-bye for now.
EMAR would like to thank the following people and organizations. To our sponsors, RMLS, Kim Dodge, NextView Reverse Mortgage, Bill Clark, Fairway Mortgage, Breezy Worth, Northwest Reverse Mortgage, Mike Reed, First American Home Warranty, Apollo Drain and Router Service, 210 Home Warranty, All Things Real Estate, Integrity Home Inspections, and to the members of the Super Meeting Task Force, Angie Setzer, Legacy Realty Group, Carol Kesser, Realty One Group, Lisa Bettendorf, Premier Property Group, LLC, Jill Bramwell Properties, Bill Clark, Fairway Mortgage, Laura Steinke, Stewart Title, Lee Toft, Premier Property Group, LLC, and Heather Ward, First American Title. And for assistance with video editing, Cameron Starr, Lawyers Title.